I was looking at the headlines coming out of the US last Friday, and one phrase kept jumping out at me: the arsenal of freedom. It's a heavy World War II era term that the US Department of Defense, now rebranded as the Department of War, is using to describe a specific group of American tech companies. 8 companies: OpenAI, Google, NVIDIA, SpaceX, Microsoft, Amazon, Oracle, and a newcomer called Reflection AI. They've all just signed the Pentagon 8 Accord. These aren't just mere software deals. This is the official integration of their AI models into impact level 6 and 7, the inner sanctum, the highest, most classified level of military data that handles everything from nuclear command to active combat missions. So today I want to help you understand what this deal actually is. Why should it matter to us in India? And most importantly, is the Indian defense striking such deals to make ourselves AI warfare heavy? Welcome to Tech Brew. Okay, so why these specific 8 companies? This was a strategic selection logic built on 3 non-negotiable pillars: hardware sovereignty, 30-day parity, and unfiltered access. Okay, that sounds very jargonish, but I'll break it down for you. Pillar 1, the tactical infrastructure. First, the Pentagon realized they couldn't just have the brain. They needed the body. Microsoft, AWS, and Oracle weren't chosen for their software. They were chosen because they are the only 3 companies with the IL-7 certified hardware to run classified workloads at the tactical edge, meaning data centers that can literally be dropped into a conflict zone. Now, SpaceX is the most critical addition here. They provide the connective tissue. With the Starlink Starshield integration, they ensure that these AI models are accessible to a soldier in a trench in real time with zero latency anywhere on Earth. Pillar 2, the 30-day parity rule. For the first time, the Pentagon has stopped buying yesterday's tech. A new mandate, the 30-day parity rule, requires that these companies provide the military with their latest models within 30 days of their public release. To get this deal, OpenAI and Google had to agree to the any lawful use standard. This means they cannot use their internal safety filters, the ones that stop you from asking for bomb recipes. If the mission is lawful, the AI must comply. No questions asked. Pillar 3, the ideological alternative. Finally, the most strategic play: NVIDIA and Reflection AI. The military realized that if they rely only on closed models like ChatGPT, they're vulnerable to vendor lock-in. That's why you have to look closely at Reflection AI. This startup raised $2 billion last October, and its lead investor is 1789 Capital, the venture firm where Donald Trump Jr. is a partner. Reflection is being built as the American answer to China's DeepSeek. So they aren't marketing safety or human-centric AI. They're marketing battlefield objectivity. And their pitch is very simple. They build the weights and the military decides how to use them. They're providing a model that is functionally unfiltered, designed to prioritize mission success over the ethical guardrails that Silicon Valley usually bakes into commercial softwares. But before I talk about how this tech is deployed, I want to talk about the panic that this has created. If you look at the discussions happening on the net right now, on Reddit, on Hacker News, and in tech policy circles, people are genuinely terrified, unwarranted or not. The fear isn't just about killer robots. The fear is about the removal of the conscience. Again, I like to reiterate, to get these Pentagon contracts, these 8 companies have essentially agreed to the any lawful use standard. As explained, this means they promised the military that they won't use their own internal safety filters to block a mission. It's ironic that we've spent years building guardrails to make sure AI isn't biased or aggressive. Now those guardrails are being stripped away to make the models more effective in a war zone. The tech community is asking a very valid question. What happens when an unfiltered model designed for a battlefield leaks into civilian life? And this panic isn't theoretical. It is exactly why one massive name was missing from that list: Anthropic. Until recently, Anthropic's Claude was the only frontier model the military actually trusted on its network. But as of March 2026, the Pentagon officially designated Anthropic a supply chain risk. Now, they weren't labeled a risk because of Chinese ties or bad code. Unlike the other 8 companies, Anthropic refused to remove their constitutional AI guardrails, the rules that physically prevent the model from being used for autonomous lethal strikes or domestic mass surveillance. The Pentagon's response was swift and brutal. They applied a label usually reserved for foreign adversaries like Huawei and replaced them with Reflection AI and other companies. This is the birth of ideological AI, where the model you choose is a statement of which national mission you're plugging into. Now, this transition from moral AI to unfettered AI is happening right now inside Palantir. Their Maven smart system, the AI that identifies targets on a battlefield, was just officially made a program of record. To simplify it, if OpenAI and Reflection AI are the brains that think, Palantir is the nervous system that acts. Maven takes data from every drone and radar on the planet and turns it into a targeting list for the commander. But here's the twist. Maven used to rely on Claude to process that data. Now, because Anthropic refused to allow their model to be used for lethal strikes, the Pentagon is forcing Palantir to rip and replace Anthropic with Reflection AI. It's a multi-billion-dollar overhaul being done for one reason: to remove the moral guardrails. So we're pretty much building a high-frequency trading version of war, where the AI makes lethal decisions so fast that a human operator doesn't have time to second-guess the machine. Alright, now let's zoom in here. Let me answer the big question. Is the Indian defense making similar moves? Well, the short answer is yes, but we're trying to do it without losing our own sovereignty. Recently, Shield AI, the guys who build the AI pilots for the VBAT drones, opened their office in New Delhi and announced they're expanding into Bengaluru. So it's not just a hardware sale that they're doing. They're licensing their HiveMind software, the actual AI pilot, to the Indian Army. This allows our drones to sense, decide, and act even when the GPS is jammed. And our Ministry of Defense is taking some critical steps. They know that if we rely solely on a US brain, we're subject to their rules. That's probably why the MOD finalized a 300 crore deal with Sarvam AI to establish a defense center of excellence for AI. At the same time, the India AI mission has put 246 crore rupees into Sarvam to develop indigenous foundational models. Now, India is striking these deals to become AI warfare heavy. But we're desperately trying to build our own brain so we don't get remote killed by a policy change in Washington. Alright, so where does this all leave us? For a long time, we treated AI like it was just another piece of software like Excel or Slack. We thought it was neutral, but that neutral cloud is officially dead. When a company like Anthropic gets blacklisted because they refuse to turn off their safety filters, the message is pretty clear. In 2026, the model you use is a side you're taking. So if you're a developer, a founder, or just someone curious about tech sitting here in India, you need to realize that the brains we use for our startups and our apps are now being drafted into a global war. If we don't own the weights of the models we use, we don't own our own future. The US has its arsenal, India's building its mine. The question is, which one are you building on? I'm watching the policy so you can focus on the build. For more such deep dives, subscribe to Tech Brew with Vandana Nair. And I'll see you in the next one.